My name's Alex Ward and I'm Creative Director at Criterion Games in Guildford in England, and we're here today to show you Most Wanted on Wii U. We're really proud to be showing off the game for the first time. We've been developing on Nintendo hardware for a while, particularly on Wii U for the past year or so. We love the hardware. I'm certainly a big Wii U fan. Nintendo Land and New Super Mario Bros. U are certainly being played a lot in my house at the moment. What we've been doing on the Nintendo hardware is that we've been looking at our game, and obviously what we've done is we finished making Most Wanted in September 2012, and then we've been able to take a break and come back in the new year and get to work on Wii U. And there's a few things we wanted to achieve with it. One was obviously the Wii U is a very powerful piece of hardware, and when you can see on screen here, you'll see that the Wii U version is by far the most graphically, probably most lovely version of the game we've released. But this is our first game on Nintendo hardware since 2002's Burnout 2 Point of Impact on GameCube. So it's very important to us, if we're putting the Criterion name on the game, to do something really, really well and to look at the hardware and do the best thing we can. So the first thing you'll see, apart from it looking really lovely, certainly the road, the texture detail uses all the assets from the high-end PC version of the game. And also what we've been trying to do is think about the opportunities that Wii U presents and think about how we can use the strengths of the hardware to create a bespoke Wii U experience. So obviously just porting a vanilla version of the game and releasing that is not that interesting to us, because at Criterion we take it very seriously. We often put passion and craftsmanship into everything we do. So we must admit that when we first started to work with Wii U, we weren't quite sure how to make the most of the hardware. We only saw the prototypes of the gamepad, and it was only when we got the hardware ourselves around the Christmas period did it really begin to click with us. And certainly, if you've read Iwata Asks on the internet, it's a very valuable insight into the minds of Mr. Iwata, Mr. Miyamoto, and the teams at NCL, talking about their hardware and talking about how they use gamepad. So with Most Wanted, we call this game Most Wanted U because we wanted to stand out from the previous versions of the game. What we've been doing is looking at the gamepad and trying to think about what would be unique and how we can use the gamepad to create a new experience in this 3D driving game. What we really like is that the Wii U gamepad enables us to solve a problem that we've been thinking about and trying to work on at Criterion for many years. And the Wii U gamepad solves the problem of getting the second player in the living room involved in the game. And certainly if you've played Nintendo Land, not only is it fun to watch the game on the big screen, but often the player holding the gamepad is having a unique experience. So as you see the guys driving around now, what we wanted to do, we introduced a new mode specific to Wii U, which is called co-driver mode. And when we're watching people play the game, it's often apparent to us that if you've been playing our games for years, this is a very straightforward game. It's a 3D fast action game set in an open world. However, giving the second player something to do, we immediately started to think of how we learn to drive. And when many of us learned to drive, we had a driving instructor, or driver's ed as you say in America, and he had a second set of controls for the car. So we wanted to use the gamepad to provide what we called a dual control experience. So with one player driving on the Wiimote, and also the game supports the Wiimote, we support the Pro Controller, the Wiimote, and the nunchuck, and the steering wheel. We have gyroscopic motion control on both the Wiimote and the gamepad. But in thinking about co-driver and thinking about how could a second player be able to influence a player playing on Wiimote. So thinking about co-driver, what we wanted to do is to bring in some experiences where the player will be able to experience Need for Speed Most Wanted at their own pace. From reading Iwata Asks and reading what the guys on New Super Mario Bros. U were able to achieve, they took on the challenge of creating a software experience that allowed more players to complete the end of the game. And they posed a question saying that they realized that most players wouldn't be able to complete a Mario game. So they used the gamepad. If you've seen that, they use the gamepad so you can place blocks to assist the second player. So we're using gamepad to obviously give you, we call it co-driver. Internally we called it father and son mode. And the scenario we wanted was a father being able to experience this game with his son who'd be playing on the Wiimote, and at any time the software put up a barrier to the player, the father was able to help them and keep them in that experience longer. So for example, novice players will be driving the car, and maybe they don't want to spend time finding all the cars in the game. So in the original release of Most Wanted, you had to look around and you could find the jack spots for the cars and take any car you want. All the cars were available in the world. On Wii U, the father player, almost the godfather player almost, he's got all the cars on tap. So if you want to switch to your favorite Lamborghini, you can. If you want to switch to a Ford 150 Raptor, you can. So we were thinking about all the thought process was all the younger players playing the game, or first-time novice Need for Speed players, whatever barriers they would have in the game, that the father player would be able to remove them. So if the race is set at night, if that's too dark for you, your TV is not set up in an optimal way, you can turn day to night. If you're triggering police chases, maybe far often than we would as designers like you to have, you can also use the gamepad to see a map, and by touching the screen, you're able to slow down the police, disengage the police, or switch the police off altogether. You're also able to do that with traffic. You're able to change the density of traffic and also switch it off. So it provides a unique experience in the sense that you're free to be able to drive around and explore the city of Fairhaven in whatever car you want without having to play and find. And also the father player is able to look at the map and look at all the collectibles, be able to see what billboards you've completed and what jackpots you've found. And gamepad then provides another opportunity of two players being able to work together. You're able to look at the pad and say, hey, you know what, there's a billboard around here, the second on the right, it looks like it's up this ramp, there's a billboard you haven't collected yet. So we were just thinking in a simple way of being able to enable a more novice player to experience the game, because again, for folks who are familiar with everything that we do, they can play the straight Most Wanted experience that we've released, albeit in better quality visuals on Wii U. But again, in co-driver mode, you're just able to provide a more, say, friendly experience, which might allow players to get to grips with the game in the way they haven't before. The game also includes the Ultimate Speed Pack downloadable content, so there's some new cars, there's some new billboards, and there's some new challenges. The game supports 6-player multiplayer for online play, with all the speed lists and some new stuff that we've added just for Wii U. But our philosophy just comes from making the game more accessible and bringing, from us at Criterion, thinking about Wii U, it's a hardware we think that brings people together. It allows 2 or more players together in the room to share the experience. And as developers, that can be quite hard to change something you've already released. To remix it in a way can be very, very hard, because we don't believe any game is perfect, and our games are far from perfect at times. But again, it's a challenge to be able to tune things for different skill levels of players. So again, the key point is that while we're quite skilled at driving around a 3D world, when we travel around the world and we watch people play our game, some people it's just very new to them. So the Need for Speed audience and the Wii U audience, we think, are quite similar. And we're excited to show this game because we think we're offering something quite unique. And we're using the gamepad in some unique ways, but also, you know, the game is fully playable completely on the gamepad. So if somebody else in your household chooses to watch TV on the main display, you can also play through the entire Most Wanted experience with audio on the gamepad. And that's pretty much it. It's as straightforward as they come. That's Most Wanted on Wii U. What do we miss, Jim?
You playing it while you prep.
Okay.
I do want to show them playing it fully on the
Well,
game
show
mode.
night. So again, particularly in night mode, we've been able to tweak the visuals here.
I want to show the fully playable on here.
Yeah, doing night in a video game, obviously driving at night is a bit of a visual challenge. If you go back and look at what we did on, say, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, driving at night, it was never night enough for us. It's make it as black as you can. But again, driving at night kind of makes a 3D driving game just much harder. So particularly in a game like this, where there's a lot of rapid decisions to be made, a lot of inputs needed by the player, we really tuned night with a much nicer contrast ratio. We're delivering nighttime that's much more in keeping with the game, which means it's nighttime and it obviously looks like night as we experience it in real life. The lighting pops more easily, but you can also drive a lot more easily. You can see the road. And this game contains a lot of fixes and tweaks and optimizations. So normally as developers, when you work for 2 years, it's like a labor of love. You work for 24 months on something. Normally when it goes out the door, the team are kind of can't go back to it because you kind of have to move forward and accept it is what it is. But on Wii U, we were able to go back, improve the game in the ways that we wanted, tweak visuals, and again, use gamepad in a fun way. And I hope players are going to get a real kick out of it, because it is fun to have this Need for Speed experience for the first time with 2 people playing at the same time. Oh yeah, we also support Miiverse. We're big fans of Miiverse. Nintendo's Empathy Network is a very cool way of being able to share your gaming experience with your friends, and that ties in with Autolog very nicely. You can post to Miiverse at the end of every event, and also if you've seen our screensaver, our Picture Paradise mode, that's where all the Miiverse posts will appear. And that's it. That is Most Wanted U.